in the ghastly murder of activist Prashant Pujari in Karnataka's Mudbidri. The state police say all those arrested are directly involved in the murder. Meanwhile, the BJP has lashed out at liberals for being silent on the case. Party chief Amit Shah has said, why is there no noise like there was after the Dadri incident?
Coastal Karnataka is on the edge. The anger is peaking over the murder of Bajrang Dal member Prashant Pujari. The prominent campaigner against cow slaughter was hacked to death in broad daylight on October 9th. In a suspected hate crime by the beef mafia. The sole witness to the murder, a man named Vaman Pujari, has also been found dead. The police are now investigating alleged threat calls received by the eyewitness before his mysterious death. 8 people have been arrested so far in the murder of Prashant Pujari.
The investigation is on, and the other offenders who are also involved in these offences are being identified and will be arrested.
Hitting out at the media and social activists, BJP chief Amit Shah, while speaking to Mail today, has said why there is complete silence over the Mudbidri incident. Upping the ante, the Karnataka BJP has even demanded a CBI probe in the case.
As a common citizen, he opposed the unauthorized cow slaughter. What was wrong in that? And for that he is murdered so brutally, and so far state government did nothing.
It is a serious matter, and law and order situation is very serious in Karnataka. So we insisted earlier for arrest of those accused. Now they are arrested.
Meanwhile, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has said that those involved in the killing of Pujari won't be spared.
This murder case, on any offence, we are very serious.
While there's political blame game over the murder of Prashant Pujari in Mudbidri, tension continues to grip Mudbidri. In the recent years, the Dakshin Kannada region has witnessed several incidents of violence over cow slaughter, which is why the police are treading carefully and slowly, ensuring that they reveal very little in the public domain. Pratibha Raman, India Today.
Is India's liberal intelligentsia guilty of selective outrage, or are the right-wingers working themselves up into a persecution complex unnecessarily? Joining us on the Newsroom Showdown tonight, Sagrika Ghosh and Rahul Easwar. Welcome, Sagrika. Great to have you with us on the Newsroom. This debate has been raging on social media for the past several days. We decided to put it on the Newsroom, and I want to start by asking Rahul Easwar why he so strongly believes that people like Sagrika and others on the left are guilty in some senses of selective outrage. Start by making your case and then I'll bring Sagrika in. Rahul.
3 points. One, whatever happened in Dadri is extremely unfortunate and nobody condones it. But what happened to Prashant Pujari is also the same thing. But hardly we could hear any voices protesting this. Second thing, there is, like Bangladeshi author Tasliman Nasreen pointed out, unfortunately in India, to be called secular, you have to be pro-minority and anti-majority. This is the unfortunate situation, pointed out not even by a right-winger or an Indian, but by a Bangladeshi author. The third point, my own point, I was personally heckled, attacked, assaulted by some left-wing fascist elements in our society. I could hardly hear anybody from the condemnation industry doing that. I would thankfully remember Rathi Sardesai sir doing it, but there were very few voices from the left liberal spectrum who would do it. So many a times we feel there is a biased approach in this.
Okay, you made 3 important points. Let's take it one by one. Your first contention is, when Dadri happened, there was national outrage. When Mudbidri happened and a Hindu gentleman fighting against an illegal slaughterhouse is lynched by a mob, there is much lesser anger, far lesser outrage.
There has been less traction to this story, Rahul. I think we can't deny that, but we have to place it in context. And I want to say at the very outset that murder is condemnable. Violence is condemnable, it is barbaric, it cannot be tolerated, and I think the liberal position is that murder is absolutely unacceptable, whether it is Mr. Pujari in Mudbidri, whether it is Mohammed Akhlaq in Dadri. But the issue really is that in Mudbidri, that is a context of political violence. Now, I'm not condoning the murder. I'm saying it's absolutely unacceptable. But it is a context of political violence where when you have, say, in West Bengal, you have Trinamool versus CPM clashing regularly. You have Samajwadi Party and BSP clashing regularly in Uttar Pradesh. And there are political murders that take place which are condemnable, which are absolutely, utterly shocking. But they happen in that context of violence and conflictual confrontation that exists in that particular area, in that particular society. Now, I'm not condoning it.
So you're saying there's a political context?
There's a matter of degree. It's a matter of degree, and I think we should be outraged at Dadri. You see, what I am upset about, you call it the outrage industry, but there is also the liberal bashing industry. Now, I'm not a leftist by any chance. I've opposed left economics all my life. I'm from West Bengal, for God's sake. You can't be a Bengali and uphold leftist economics. No way. So, you know, this is a caricatured position that these are leftists and these are liberals. It's not that. We have to be outraged about Dadri.
Okay, so you're saying you have to be outraged about Dadri,
have to be outraged.
But you're also saying there is a political context. There's a history to what happened near Mangalore, that these clashes are routine. Like the Trinamool and the left clash in West Bengal, in the same fashion, clashes between right-wing Hindu groups and Muslim organizations in that area of Mangalore have a history. Go ahead, Rahul Easwar.
The clashes have been happening. The clashes have been happening.
Rahul Easwar.
There are two things. I'm sure Sagar Gaji didn't mean to justify it. But when Mohammed Akhlaq was killed, the first decision we took was we shouldn't contextualize it. Because unfortunately, when you contextualize it, it is an indirect justification for the whole thing. And there has been, you have heard many far-right voices saying that there was always clashes between...
I said at the very outset, murder is condemnable. Which right-thinking person can condone murder?
That's true, that's true. But I'm sure that Sagar Gaji didn't mean to justify it. But unfortunately, when you contextualize it, what happens is there is an indirect justification happening.
No, this is semantic gymnastics. This is semantic gymnastics being played by Rahul Easwar. He's an expert at this and he does it all the time. The fact is, at the end of the day, liberal bashing industry is focusing on, you know, a zero-sum game. This killing versus that killing. You're not condemning this, but are you condemning this? You're not condemning the attacks against Taslima Nasreen. You're only condemning the attacks against Kalburgi. So, you know, this zero-sum game, this competitive communalism, this kind of my killing is worse than your killing. I mean, this is ludicrous. It is barbaric to do
Let
this.
Rahul Easwar respond. Go ahead.
Both are barbaric and both are condemnable. But the unfortunate thing is we cannot have double standards in this nation. That's the reason why I pointed out.
Who has double standards?
Hold on, hold on. That's why I pointed out a Taslima Nasreen's case, a Bangladeshi Muslim author, pointing out that in India, she was very blunt with it. In India, to be secular and
Yes, there were many Bengali intellectuals.
Okay, Rahul is taking away.
I would request.
Okay, one second. Let me just state over here, Sagrika. Allow Rahul to complete. Otherwise, he'll go away feeling that the liberal side took the argument because you were standing.
Not left though.
Liberal though, standing in the studio took away a majority of the airtime. Go ahead, Rahul, complete your point.
And even I would like to point out one thing. Even though Sagar Gaji is representing liberal, I was being more patient and liberal in listening to her arguments. So we call our side not conservative. We believe it is liberal versus responsible. We are more right, responsible, and unfortunately, this side of the spectrum has not got enough attention. They have been ignored for decades altogether. That's the reason why even Taslima Nasreen has to point out when she was banned, when she was attacked, nobody from the condemnation industry took any bold stand. And we should see things in a context, and we should rightly understand that it's a one-sided liberal, I would say self-claimed secular stand, which continuously attack the Hindu majoritarian point of view and would like to bash the Hindu bashing industry. We wouldn't want a Hindu bashing or a Muslim bashing industry, and we wouldn't want a
interview to India today, where she says writers are guilty of double standards when it comes to dissent. When I was being targeted, the same left liberals were not speaking up for me.
I did a similar interview of Taslima Nasreen in the Times of India where she echoed the same sentiments. Now, it is true, many leftist intellectuals in Bengal meekly caved in when the CPM government literally hounded Taslima Nasreen out of West Bengal. And that is true, we have to face that. And I think rather than name-calling the opposition as Rahul Easwar is doing, saying you're Hindu bashing and you're anti-Hindu and you're responsible, you're irresponsible, I refuse to call anyone names, and I think there is a point there. Yes, there is some amount of selective outrage that happens, but I would like to point out that even on the Taslima Nasreen case, there were many authors who did speak up, including Arundhati Roy, who is the bugbear of the Hindu right, who is supposed to be the poster boy of the failed, distorted liberalism that we have today. But even she spoke up in favor of Taslima Nasreen. Many authors in Delhi spoke up in favor of Taslima Nasreen. I would also like to say, when then Salman Rushdie was actually prevented by Islamic zealots from coming to the Jaipur Literary Festival, a group of writers who are again representative of the so-called failed liberal project got together and actually read out passages of Salman Rushdie's book at that particular festival. I also want to point out, this is completely out of context, but it is a bit of a digression, but I want to make the point, and I want to point out Teesta Setalwar, who is the bugbear of the Hindu right, who is again the representative of the failed liberal project, actually took on the Congress government in 92-93 when she took on the partisan role of the police in the Mumbai riots of 92-93. So she was in fact taking on the Congress government and the police run by the Congress at that stage in Maharashtra. So she's taken on the Congress government as well as the BJP government.
Linked to the issue of Dadri is the issue of cultural intolerance, where now we're seeing author after author return his Sahitya Academy Award because suddenly they feel stifled, suddenly they feel that cultural intolerance is growing in India. Is this also a case of selective outrage? People like Rahul Easwar have been asking that there have been riots before this. Delhi happened, Bhagalpur happened, the Sikh riots happened. Several of these authors took their awards at the same time, never outraged, never bothered to return their awards, and now after the one killing in Dadri, they suddenly feel that the atmosphere has turned toxic.
That is true, Rahul, and I think there have been many instances where perhaps liberal opinion has not been as vociferous as it should have been. But on the other hand,
is it anti-Modi? Is it linked to the fact that liberals haven't been able to reconcile with the reality of Modi becoming India's Prime Minister?
I don't think that's the case. I think the context really is that Kalburgi is a Sahitya Academy awardee. He is himself a Sahitya Academy awardee, and the Sahitya Academy, when one of its awardees was so brutally assassinated,
many of these authors gave up their awards not after Kalburgi, but after the Dadri lynching. The Dadri lynching was the trigger. Now they're linking it back to Kalburgi, but that death happened more than a month ago.
I think it was an attempt to protest against intolerance, which was piling up one after the other. There were the three rationalists, Pansare, Kalburgi, the other rationalist who was killed. The three rationalists who were killed, the fact that there was a kind of atmosphere of intolerance growing, I think the liberal writer is within his rights to protest. But again, you know, Rahul, I want to bring to your attention the many times that liberals in India have protested.
No, but you make an interesting point, and I want Rahul to respond to this, that there is always a last straw, and Dadri was the last straw. From Pansare onwards, this had been happening, and finally, when Dadri happened after Kalburgi, liberal writers said, enough is enough. Is that an adequate explanation in your view, or is that again symptomatic of selective outrage?
I would say, you know, they are trying to build a pattern and they're trying to connect the non-connected dots. Whatever happened to those three rationalists are utterly condemnable. Nobody should condone it. But I would like to remind the story of 3 lakh plus 4 or 4 lakh Kashmiri Pandits expelled. And even the left of center or the far left PUCL admitted in 2008. They have not taken up the issue of
that
Pandits.
People were clapping when Kashmiri Pandits were chased out of the valley. Nobody did that. People condemned Kashmiri Pandits being killed and chased away as well. So how is that a parallel?
The remainder would be people are not taking up a case in the same intensity as the other case. We would all like to condemn all incidents with the same intensity. And many a times, for example, many people have got award after 2004. Somebody got award after the Sikh riots. We have never heard them condemn a Sikh riots which killed 3,000 people. We have never heard them condemn or actively come out against people when they were killed.
Not fair? Once again, you make an important point, Shakika. Is it not fair to suggest that many of these awardees are actually part of a patronage network which had been run by the Congress party, which was in government for 5 decades out of the last 6?
A lot of
and they share their political worldview. Rahul, I'm coming.
Can I just point out one thing?
Go ahead.
if this is the growing intolerance of this nation, can you point out any awardee who condemned Prashant Pujari's murder? Can you point out even one single awardee's statement on this, or even Twitter or Facebook? Why is Prashant Pujari's life less valuable than another person's life? We would like to condemn both Prashant Pujari's and Mohammed with the same tendency.
I think that's an excellent point. As I keep saying, Prashant Pujari's murder is as condemnable, as barbaric as Muhammad Clark. The only issue here is that perhaps there was a political context there.
But what about the fact that a lot of the authors who returned their awards received these awards under a Congress regime, and their political views are more or less in sync with the Congress's ideology?
I think that could be a bit of a generalization, because a number of these authors are not Lutyens' land elite. These are regional writers.
These are
Kerala writers, Andhra writers, Gujarat writers.
Munawar Rana is an example, and that's gone viral on social media. You read that poem.
Right.
He wrote a poem in honor of Sonia Gandhi. He was waxing eloquent about her.
There could be political sympathies involved, but there could be political ideologies involved here. But what I'm trying to say is, let's not knock the liberal project, because it has been the Indian liberal who's protested the emergency. It has been the Indian liberal who's taken on the Congress government in the Hashimpura killings. It was the same brave Indian liberal voices who did take on the Congress-led mobs during the 84 riots.
Someone like Nayantara Saigal, who
spoke out against the emergency. Spoke out against the emergency.
And despite her political lineage and her family background, she spoke out against Indira Gandhi. So you can't generalize in this fashion. Surely some people, Rahul Easwar, may be politically affiliated, but you can't paint all the authors with the same brush. Final words, please.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. But let us be very honest about it. I am a center-right person, and many of these authors are center-left persons. And whenever Congress government is there, Sonia Madam accommodates them in either NAC or either in post, or takes UR Anandamurthy to Philippine Institute of Pune. So these are some realities you cannot ignore. But let us, beyond politics, at least for once, take case by case and condemn both Pujaris and Akhlaqs. And until that day, when these writers will write one word about Prashant Pujari without contextualizing or justifying it, the liberals will be at doubt and in the doubts in the mind of the ordinary people who react to very serious
questions. Have liberals not even once say anything at all about Prashant Pujari?
No, I think the Prashant Pujari
on
case,
Facebook, on Twitter,
I think the
Prashant
Pujari case, and you're right, has not got the kind of media traction that perhaps it should have.
But even amongst the opinion makers,
it should have, and perhaps there should be a condemnation of that killing. Now, again, I come down to it: murder, any which way, is condemnable. Whether it's the murder of a Hindutva activist or a Bajrang Dal member, whether it is a Clark, whether it is CPM, whether it's Trinamool, it is condemnable. But what I just want to say, is that you can't say that liberals have only stood up for selective causes. It was the liberals who also protested against Ambikesh Mohapatra's prosecution by the West Bengal government. It was a liberal who protested against Asim Trivedi when he was giving sedition. It was the liberal who was protesting against the emergency.
We welcome your condemnation, Prashant Pujari. I hope others will follow.
We will still not be close to a resolution, but it was important to take up this issue and discuss it. You've heard from the left, you've heard from the right.
Left.
No, she's not the left, she says. You've heard from the liberal
and responsible.
Yes, and he says he's responsible. They always want to come up with
liberal and responsible, he's conservative and responsible. And the great thing is, Rahul, that we're talking and dialoguing.
Absolutely, I think that's important. Not pelting stones at each other, having a reasoned discussion. Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure having you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. Last night on the newsroom, we got you the big investigation about how food inspectors in Uttar Pradesh can be paid money and can be made to generate any report which can pass or fail a food product. Today, the government kicked into action, woken up after the India Today investigation. The Health Ministry shot off a letter to the Health Department in Uttar Pradesh. 4 food inspectors caught on camera have been removed from their jobs. They've been placed under the Meerut Commissioner, and the government is looking at ways to try and fix this problem. This is India Today Impact.
FSSAI food inspectors caught on camera promising to clear food samples laden with lead for just 20,000 rupees. no tests required, and absolutely no concern for your health. The sensational expose by India Today's Special Investigation Team jolted the government into action. Health Minister JP Nadda ordered a probe saying strict action must be taken against the 4 food inspectors. And action was taken. FSSAI food inspectors Ramesh Chand, Ramveer Singh, Shiv Das and KP Singh have been removed from their posts.
Some of the official state food safety officials have been found talking like this. So we have written to the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh regarding this episode, and we have asked him to take very strict action against those officials found guilty, so that the message down the line should go that such types of things should not recur.
The centre has also sent an advisory to Uttar Pradesh government to investigate the officers. Not just that, Consumer Affairs Minister Ramvilas Paswan too has demanded that food inspectors exposed by India Today be jailed for breaking the trust of consumers. With Arun Kumar and Hari Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across now to Union Health Minister JP Nadda. He's joining us on this broadcast from Hajipur, where he's gone to campaign for the BJP. Thank you very much, Mr. Nadda, for joining us. You've had an opportunity to go through our sting operation. You've spoken to your officials. Give our viewers a sense of how the government intends to respond. What are the steps that you are taking to try and address the rot that was exposed by the India Today sting, sir?
ये बहुत ही गंभीर मामला है और आपने जो ये एपिसोड को दिखाया है, आपने एक तरीके से हमारी मदद की है कि भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई हमारी सरकार लड़ रही है और जो भ्रष्टाचार पर ज़ीरो टॉलरेंस रखती है, उसको आपने उसके दृष्टि से आपने ध्यान में लाया है। आज सुबह ही मैंने FSSAI के चेयरमैन को कहा है कि इस पर, क्योंकि ये मामला उत्तर प्रदेश से जुड़ा हुआ है, तो उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार से इस पर तुरंत रिपोर्ट दे और साथ ही साथ एडवाइस किया है कि स्ट्रिक्टेस्ट पॉसिबल एक्शन लिया जाए, क्योंकि यह सरकार ज़ीरो टॉलरेंस टुवर्ड्स करप्शन रखती है। इट इज़ अ वेरी सीरियस मैटर, अ ग्रेव मैटर, वी हैव टेकन वेरी सीरियसली एंड आई हैव आस्क्ड द FSSAI चेयरमैन टू कॉल फॉर अ रिपोर्ट एंड सी टू इट।
One of the key problems that I feel needs to be addressed, Minister, is the issue of the discretionary powers, the sweeping powers that local inspectors have to be able to fail products past them depending on whether they've been paid off or not. Now, and I know to some extent you can say that's something the state governments need to deal with, but what does the centre intend to do to try and take away some of these discretionary powers to ensure that you don't have an Inspector Raj coming back to India once again?
इस पे आपने ठीक कहा कि हमारे को इस पर गंभीरता से विचार करना चाहिए। मैंने FSSAI के चेयरमैन साहब से कहा है कि जो प्रोसीजरल इश्यूज हैं, उन प्रोसीजरल इश्यूज को हमको अकाउंटेबल भी बनाना चाहिए, सो दैट चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस डेवलप हों। हमको फूड सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी आम आदमी को पहुंचाना यह आवश्यक है और साथ ही साथ इसके डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर्स का मिसयूटिलाइजेशन ना हो, इसकी चिंता करने की ज़रूरत है। We wish to revisit it and we will see to it. I have asked the FSSAI chairman to see to it that what changes we can bring into it.
Now, tell me, Minister, since the time the Maggie controversy broke, you've had an opportunity to reflect on the manner in which the food regulation process works in India. What is it that your government has done so far? आपने अब तक क्या किया है food safety standards improve करने के लिए, ये जो इंस्पेक्टर्स धांधलेबाजी करते हैं उसको रोकने के लिए? Explain, what have you done? Our sting came out yesterday, but this problem got highlighted when the Maggie controversy broke. What have you done between then and now, Minister?
देखिए, एकदम तुरंत कहना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, लेकिन मैंने चेयरमैन साहब को ये कहा था कि इस पर आप इसको रिविजिट करें, इसकी डिटेल्स को वर्कआउट करें और देखें। और जहां तक मैगी का सवाल है, इट्स अ डिफरेंट केस ऑल टुगेदर। आई वुड नॉट लाइक टू कमेंट ऑन दैट, but as far as our ministry and the food safety and security is concerned, we are concerned about it and we are seeing to it that if there is any procedural problem, we should see to it that that should be amended.
So the Modi government has been speaking a lot about improving the ease of doing business in India. What our sting shows is that far from trying to improve things on the ground, things are as bad, if not worse, than they were earlier. Now, this has sent a very bad message to corporates that they can be blackmailed by inspectors So you've got consumers who are concerned about health safety, and you've got corporates that are worried about being blackmailed by inspectors, where virtual hafta is being demanded if products are going to be passed or failed.
देखिए, फिर मैं कहूँगा, जब आपने मोदी सरकार की बात की है तो मोदी जी का कहना है कि ईज तो होना चाहिए, लेकिन इट डज नॉट मीन दैट टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद द सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ द फूड। तो हम दोनों के बीच में कैसा बैलेंस हो सकता है, इस पर हम वर्कआउट कर रहे हैं। एंड इन दीज प्रोसीजरल इश्यूज में जितने भी स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उनके साथ बातचीत करके, उनको ऑन बोर्ड लेकर के, वी आर ट्राइंग टू डेवलप अ सिस्टम विच वर्क्स efficiently and which gives results accordingly.
I'm going to leave it over there. JP Nadda, I'm glad you've taken cognizance of our report. We're also, assured by the fact that the government has moved swiftly after this investigation was aired. 4 officials being moved out of their posts. But the question is, just firing those officials is not enough. The rot is much deeper. There has to be a comprehensive re-evaluation of the manner in which these inspectors have the power to be able to test and fail products. You can't leave it to those localized inspectors. You have to centralize this process and earmark a few centrally accredited laboratories that can do this. Unless you do so, the change and the impact will only be temporary. I'm going to leave it over there. I hope you're able to follow this through. Thank you very much for joining us from the middle of the campaign trail, taking our time to focus on this very serious issue concerning health and public safety. Thank you.